Cash, 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 cash. Everybody loves cash. But when it comes to property, can you buy a property cheaper with cash? Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 533. Can you buy a property cheaper with cash? Myself and Mark will talk about it this morning because I think this is one of the most misunderstood topics and things the buyer says, which I don't know if they know what it means, if it has value, if it has no value. But people see it in movies, people see it on new American listings, and you always see it out there. But does it actually mean anything? And if it does, when does it mean something? So I think it really originated, correct, Mark, you would probably be a little bit better to tell me the origin, the history, as you were around back then. Little stab. But what did it originate more from an American point of view? Was that because remember when we had Simon on Polito, escrow conditions for a sale, there's a lot of contingencies and there's a lot of ways a deal can fall over. So is that where it originated from?
I think look, traditionally the association with cash has always been get a discount with cash. The thing where it gets confusing with property is in the marketplace when people talk about, or in life when people talk about cash, they generally talk about foldable cash, as in paper cash or plastic now. And so generally they expect a discount when using cash in Australia, particularly pre-GST when a lot less was recorded, a lot less happened that way with cash.
Good point. It's not just the physical cash, it's the association is off the books as well. Yeah. That just, yes. So go on.
Yeah. So, I think that first of all, that's got to be clarified that, you know, when it gets different when we associate cash with property, we associate no loan, as in no mortgage, as in ready to go. So, the problem is when you do have someone getting a loan is they normally require a bank valuation and they normally require time, and there's a chance that they may not proceed if they fail on the valuation or fail on the mortgage application.
Yes, and that's because I always find it funny when someone goes to me, let's say I'm showing a property for $1 million and they go, I'll give you 800K cash. And I'm like, okay, so are you going to settle in 24 hours? And like, no, 6 weeks. And then it's like, well, then the owner will probably just wait for someone who's not buying it all cash, maybe buying it with only 1% cash, and they'll pay the $1 million because from an owner's point of view, they don't really care if it's your cash or the bank's cash. They've got that figure in mind. And I think that's where there's a huge disconnect. But there are some parts where it can be very effective. Because, Mark, talk us through, even the buyer may be cash, but if there's a loan on the property, you sometimes can't even do it that quick. So it really doesn't matter a lot of the time. Can you talk us through that, how that works?
Yeah, so basically I think what everyone's got to remember is there's logistics to a sale. So, you know, this has got a couple of tentacles on it, but the first one is in a sale, there's generally a bank or an outgoing bank. As soon as you have intervention from an incoming bank or an incoming as in the purchaser's bank buying, or an outgoing bank as in the seller's bank settling the loan, taking the money and settling the loan, then the banks need time to run their process. And the time they need probably at the very fastest to settle a loan and discharge a loan would be probably at least 4 weeks, but pushing it 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even if you were a cash buyer and the seller had a mortgage on the property, you still actually could literally go, bang, there's the money, let's settle today because of the bank intervention.
Yes, but if you've got a fully a cash buyer with a cash vendor, then it can be done pretty quickly, and then a quick structure can be very helpful. Because I've had a deal before where the owner was like, let's do a week settlement, the buyer's all cash, and the owner's like, great, let's do it, but they couldn't settle. It dragged on 4 weeks because of the banks, and it's like, wow, that didn't really make a difference. Luke's made a good point. Cash contracts provide seller with security. People love security. That is true to a certain extent, because generally before they go unconditional, especially in residential, they've got the valuation's been done and you've got that final approval. So once you sort of get to that stage, it's pretty secure that way. But
pretty simple like that.
Yeah, so this is like a mess. So how can a buyer or cash leverage having the cash mark? So we've sort of explained that it's not really as strong as some people say. Obviously, an agent can paint the picture. He's all cash. You're not going to run the risk if the vow doesn't matter. I get all that stuff where they can have that edge. But where else can that buyer have that edge? Or try, or is it just not that edge?
A recent example in the last, say, a month, we had a example where a seller, commercial property, seller was very, very motivated. No mortgage on the property, so they could so if it was a cash buyer, they could move quick because there wasn't bank intervention, and they needed the money so fast it was like crazy. So they actually literally wanted it the next day, the money for the property. So what happened was they were willing to discount the property for that reason. Now this is really rare. This deal is really rare. This is where a cash deal comes in for less, and a person does buy a property for less. So
it's basically like $1 million property willing to do a deal like $800K sort of. That was like the brief, but get it done tomorrow sort of thing.
Yeah. And as an agent, you sort of worry because you think, I don't want to be seen to be selling a property for $1 million for $800,000. But it's like, you know what? This guy needs help. He needs his 800. He needs it fast. Just get a cash buyer. So in that circumstance, we marketed heavily. Social media exploded. Marketing went crazy. Located a buyer. The buyer said, "I can do it today. I can literally write a check out for the whole amount." And this is where it's different. Cash is not holdable cash in property. It really just means I can move today. Money's in the bank, transfer money, which they did. And believe it or not, the shortest possible settlement I've ever done in my life, and the shortest settlement, the solicitor that I use a lot, HPL, Anthony Meddy, has said he has never seen it done in that amount of time, 1 week.
Yeah, it's insane. I think my shortest was 10 days, I think.
Yeah.
But that's where
people got
to realise, because people got to realise as well, as much as it's always like highest price, sometimes in some scenarios, it's not about the highest price. It's about securing a price and being able to cash out. Because if you need cash and you've got a property, your property, it could be worth X amount, but it's like shares going up. It's not real until you sell. And sometimes if you've owned a property for 30 years and an extra 100, 200 grand, it just doesn't, you rather have 800 now than miss out on whatever the scenario was to try and get $1 million and nothing happens. Super unique to have that. The funny thing was we ended up getting the market for it because there was just so many people at it. So it was really good, but that wasn't sort of where it started. So
in summary, can you buy a property less for cash? In most parts, no, but in exceptional circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree with that as well. And where it does help having obviously a bigger deposit or cash, if you're going to an auction and the price goes crazy, you're not worried about where you are. Like, let's say you got a budget of 1.8 and it sells for 2 million. And if you're doing it all cash and you just need that extra 200 grand, you've got that flexibility. Rather than if you're at a pre-approval for 1.8 and it goes above, you can't really move much. So there is that benefit there. I'm just trying to
Hey,
think.
Burge,
Yes.
putting everything aside, how good would it feel?
Yeah. Write a check for a property all cash.
How good would it feel just going, I don't have to worry about a bank. I don't have to worry about a valuation. I don't have to worry about an interest rate. I like the property. It's going to buy it. Cash, no loan. Mate,
Yeah.
must feel
Imagine getting
good.
100% of your rent. Because everyone looks at 40 grand rent minus all the outgoings. I get $100 a week left over. Imagine you get like
Mate.
$800 a week left over. Like,
But, you know, and I don't mean to be rude to old people, but which I think I am now, but I think that's a really great thing about your senior years. If you've done the right thing with working hard and you've done the right thing with, you know, buying property, investing correctly, you know, you do shit like that, i.e. you're buying a property or two or three, I don't know, whatever, in cash. That is
well,
just, you must feel like the absolute boss.
yeah. But keep in mind also, there is, especially you would see more at the older stages buy one property all cash. But if you're younger, and I've had these conversations with buddies who have had inheritance, they're like, got $2 million, just going to buy this house. It's like, no, go buy 3 properties with loans.
Yes.
You're young, you're working.
Yep.
Instead of buying one property 100%, buy a couple, leverage. You're going to be, while you like, you want the property for 40 years. So would you rather have 3 or 4 properties going up over 40 years, 4 property incomes, tax write-offs, blah, 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 rather than just the one? So we do see very often people don't do it that way, and they think it's, because I think there is that stigma of the debt, don't have it like, no, pay it all cash, but it can actually be a lot worse for you. Think about it this way, Mark. Let's say last year you inherited $2 million and you just bought one house. It would be worth, what's gone up 70%? It would be worth, say, 3 million. But if you bought 6 homes, you're now it's sort of like 12 mil. Like it's insane how that can work. So just got to look.
And I'll give you a great example of that. Someone just won $80 million on the Powerball last week, I think in Melbourne.
Yes.
And I had a couple of chats with a couple of buddies about it, and I was like, "What would you do? What would you do? What would you do? What would you do, Burge?"
Buy a lot of shit. Buy everything. Property, holidays, everything. Bitcoin, shares, everything. You can do everything with 80 million.
I wouldn't tell anyone. And I would change car, house, job, nothing. I would, with 80 million, I would go and buy $160 million apartments and put in $500K into each of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's all right. Anything else you want to add on to that?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty insane. You'd be like Harry Triggerboff. Just 1/10. You'd be like Harry Triggerboff.
I think he's got 3,000 apartments.
Yeah, 3.5 or something insane, or 4,000 now, and it's crazy. How about they just broke a record out west. Who would have thought? Parramatta penthouse, 5.95 million. Crazy.
For a house in Parramatta.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, mass great building, blah, 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 but
Good living.
Parramatta, George, I think it's 180 George Street, but market's hot. Yeah, it's insane.
Insane.
Lisa, not numbers again. 7, 4, 3, 2, 89, 6.
Cash.
All righty. Thank you, everyone,
That's
for
the show.
watching. Cheers.
And we've just answered the question, can you buy a property less for cash?
6, 4, 3, 9. Bye.